Welcome to Total Spectrum Spotlight, an informative look and an insightful discussion of today's legislative issues and political trends.
Hi, I'm Congressman Erik Paulsen, and for this week's Total Spectrum Spotlight, I am very fortunate to have with us a conversation with newly elected U.S. Senator Mark Kelly from the great state of Arizona. Senator, as you know, the Arizona Chamber of Commerce and Industry has been the leading statewide business advocate at the Arizona Capitol and with the Arizona Congressional Delegation for decades. Their diverse membership of business sectors from manufacturing to services includes small, medium, and large employers, and they appreciate hearing from you today and working with you on behalf of Arizona. So, Senator, thanks so much for joining us today.
Well, Erik, thanks for the invitation. Been looking forward to it, to talk about some of these issues that affect Arizona, particularly how small businesses are going to get back on track, and how just the challenges we've been facing from this pandemic over the last 9 months.
Perfect. You were sworn into office just this past December, a month ahead of some of your freshman colleagues. Give us a few impressions after just 2 months now as being a new senator.
Right. Well, that's interesting, because when you get sworn in and you're the junior member of Congress, the House, or in my case, in the Senate, and it's been interesting. In 7 weeks, I went from 100th in seniority to 90th. Pat Leahy, who has been in the United States Senate for a long time, the president pro tem, he told me when he first entered the Senate, it took him 2 years to go up 2 spots in seniority. It's timing, right? But I'll tell you what, it's been a very interesting experience, so far. The first 7 weeks to enter, during a public health and an economic crisis our country's currently going through, to be there on January 6th. Now we and then having an inauguration a couple weeks later, and now an impeachment trial that I'll be a juror in, starting in just a couple days. So my first 7 weeks have been rather interesting. I'll tell you, one of the highlights of this whole experience is just how welcoming and my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and just there seems to be a lot of interest in coming together to try to solve some of these problems we're facing as a country. Significant problems. I mean, my first days in the Senate, I spent a lot of time talking to Senator Romney and Senator Murkowski and others about COVID-19 relief. Just the other day, I was in my office with John Cornyn, talking about issues that face both Texas and Arizona. Last night at 3 a.m, as we're going through this vote-a-rama process with multiple amendments, Senator Tom Tillis comes over and spends probably 30 minutes in the chair between me and Governor Hickenlooper. So it's been a very positive experience. We've got a lot of work ahead of us, and these are challenging problems we face, and I think we're only going to solve these if we continue to be willing to work together as a team.
Boy, it's great to hear that you're already working on building some important relationships that'll be fruitful for not only you, but for the folks you represent back home. Just a few weeks ago, you attended the inauguration that you just mentioned. Any reaction to President Biden's speech or his first few days in office?
I thought it was an excellent speech. I thought the entire inauguration went, very well, from the national anthem to the poet to the speakers, Senator Blunt, Senator Klobuchar, the president certainly, but I think the real positive takeaway for me is that Arizonans now have a federal partner, with the administration, when it comes to rebuilding our economy and getting the relief that families and businesses need. The economic crisis piece of this is not over. I mean, we all understand that. And for Arizona, for me as a new United States Senator, to have that partner in the White House is going to be incredibly helpful to get our small businesses back on track, to get families the needed relief they need, to get a increasing vaccination supply and a distribution system that's going to work. So I'm optimistic about the months and the couple years ahead.
Great to hear about your optimism there. You mentioned the COVID relief package, which is now front and center as a priority, not only for the president, but for Congress. And talk a little bit about what you expect to be some of the administration's other priorities. And you're also serving on several pretty important committees. You got Armed Services, Energy, Aging, the Joint Economic Committee, which I used to chair and was on. And you've got your own legislative priorities. And talk a little bit about what you also hope to focus on personally.
First of all, I'm part of this bipartisan group, now 20 senators, 10 Democrats, 10 Republicans, and we're going to work together on COVID-19 relief. We're going to try to do this in a bipartisan way. We had the first part of this budget reconciliation process last night with the resolution. That'll continue, but we're not giving up on the bipartisan aspect of this. Last night in the chamber, I was talking to Bill Cassidy about this. He's one of the 10 Republicans. And others. So we all realize that this is going to require action, and we're in a crisis, and we've got to look at parallel approaches to this. And I'm always hopeful that we can do things together in a bipartisan way, and so we're going to continue to work on this. I've also been speaking along the way here, small business owners who are barely getting by. One of our more iconic restaurants in Phoenix has been around for a long time. Barrio Cafe is at risk of closing for good because of the pandemic. We can't allow businesses like that and others. I mean, hundreds of thousands across our country. These are jobs that we need. So we've got to make sure these businesses can stay afloat. In Arizona, we've got about 550,000 small businesses, over 1 million employees at small businesses. They are what keeps our economy strong. So we're going to have to continue to support, small businesses. We need targeted relief for restaurants. One of the votes we had last night was on the Restaurants Act, which passed. There's a lot to do. I just received like you mentioned, my committee assignments: Armed Services Committee, Energy and Natural Resources, Environment and Public Works, Aging, and the Joint Economic Committee, which I need to speak to you about so I can learn more about it. And I'm excited to use those committees and the committee process and the partners those committees have to help solve some of our state and some of our country's problems. We have 5 significant military bases in the state of Arizona, with Luke and Fort Huachuca, Davis-Monthan, the Yuma Proving Ground, the Marine Corps Air Station in Yuma, incredible capability that supports our national defense, but we have to remain vigilant and focused on it. It's also a big driver for our economy. So I'm excited to be on Armed Services. It was something at the top of my list when I requested and put in my personal request for committee assignments, because it's important for our country, but it's also very important for the Arizona economy. And I can bring my experiences as a combat pilot, as a test pilot, as an astronaut, somebody who worked in acquisition, to the United States Senate through that committee and the other committees I'm going to serve on as well. And I think folks realize that we have a long tradition of service in the United States Senate on the Armed Services Committee. It was one of my first committee hearings. I had it yesterday, in fact. And so I'm looking forward to, helping our Defense Department and our state as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, that's great to hear. You're digging right in. Final question, just for some thoughts here. There's no doubt that Arizonans and members of the Arizona Chamber and the business community are very interested in some of the policies that are being discussed in Washington today. What is the best way for them to stay engaged with you and your staff in the year ahead?
Well, first of all, yes. I mean, to recognize that it's important to stay in touch. That's the first thing. And my office and my team, we we really want to be as accessible as possible, and we want to hear from individuals, and we want to work with them. That's why I have a staff that's dedicated to assisting Arizonans all across the state. I mean, from not only Phoenix, but Tucson and rural areas, northern Arizona, southern Arizona, on the border. So it's important that we're accessible, but it's also important that everyone across the state knows that we want to be accessible. I mean, my job is to work for every single Arizona in the United States Senate. And the needs vary from region to region, and there's a lot we've got to be focused on. I made a commitment early on that I was going to publish my Senate schedule, so folks know what I'm up to. They know who I'm meeting with. They know where I am. I think that's important for accountability. I think it's also important to have an efficient, well-running office. Arizonans know that I am accountable to them. So I want them to keep in touch. Keep in touch with my Washington, D.C. office, with my Tucson office, with my Phoenix office. We've got a official website. It's www.kelly.senate.gov. And there's information on how folks can reach out, whether it's on the phone, how to get on my schedule, where do you send a letter. So we look forward to hearing with everybody. And every small business that needs some help, we are there to help.
Great. It's great to hear. And knowing you as I do, I know you are committed to that aspect of service, which I know the country is excited and so desperately needs in these challenging times. So Senator Kelly, just thank you so much for being with us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts and perspectives. And also just a big thanks to everyone who's tuning in today to Total Spectrum Spotlight, and hope you have a great weekend and great week. But again, Senator Kelly, thank you so much.
Thank you for watching Total Spectrum Spotlight. For more information about Total Spectrum, please visit us at totalspectrumsga.com. Total Spectrum, strategies uniquely focused on your success.